Hello, my name is Sam Feltham, and welcome to Expert Interviews here on Smash the Fat. For you today, I've got an incredible couple, one of whom has been on the show before, just over a year ago. His name is Larry Diamond, all the way from Austin, Texas, and a year ago he lost just over 100 pounds following a low-carb, healthy fat diet, as well as a paleo style diet as well, and kind of over this past year he's increased his weight loss a little bit more, got stronger, healthier, and also his wife Kay Lynne has joined in that journey of losing weight and becoming healthier, stronger, fitter, better, and just all around more energized for life, I think. So without further ado, here is Larry and Kay Lynne. How you doing, guys?
Well, thanks for having us.
Very well, Sam.
Fantastic. So as I said in the introduction there, Larry, you've been on the show before. That was kind of over a year ago. And it was about your 100-pound weight loss. You've now lost 125 pounds, and you feel like you've never been stronger, fitter, healthier than ever before. So kind of what's happened in the past year for yourself?
Yeah, so the first year was about dialing in the new diet, my hunger being in control for the first time I can ever remember in my life, and obviously losing 100 pounds and getting much healthier in terms of my sleep apnea going away, allergies diminishing, intestinal problems going away. But then this following year, I've really gotten a lot stronger for the first time in my life. I did my first pull-up last summer. Now I can do about a dozen pull-ups. So I'm just doing more body weight exercises, and also the mental clarity has really continued to increase. And I tell my wife I'm kind of becoming like a warrior monk. I'm becoming both able to bring more energy on a daily basis, but my mind's also calmer, even though I haven't really gone into meditation as much as I want to. Just the clarity and mental strength that low carb healthy fat, as you said, gives you is kind of just increases. So it's well beyond weight loss.
That's fantastic. And then for you, Kay Lynne, you've seen Larry's journey kind of firsthand, and his journey obviously inspired you to take control of kind of your own health. So kind of what was the journey like for you from when Larry first started this journey to kind of where you are today?
So he started this before I did. And, there had been times in the past where we had both tried to get healthy, and it was never really sustainable. So when he started this new journey, I was skeptical at first, but after about 6 to 7 months, I noticed. Well, first of all, sorry, that's our dog.
No problem. No problem.
He was sustaining it for first thing, and he was amazingly not hungry anymore. He never complained about what he was doing or how it was going. And he talked about the mental aspect. I could see in him like a change. He was truly happier than I had seen him in the 8 previous years we had been together. So I guess about 7 months in, I was right around, I guess, 200 pounds. And then I just made this decision. I just saw Larry, saw how sustainable it was for him, and I just thought, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. And he had already been doing a lot of the cooking for our family, just because of changes in our family dynamic with helping out other family members, and so he was doing a lot of the cooking. So it was coming out, low carb, high fat. And I just had to take that then and extend it to my work life, and then also, for our she was 3 at the time, but yeah, for a 4-year-old.
Fantastic. And your own journey has seen 60 pounds of weight loss, is that right?
Yeah, almost 65 now.
Excellent.
So yeah, so 65 pounds. I started just doing exactly what, Larry has talked about. Just taking out the grains was the biggest part. And, wheat was not a big problem for me to take out. We didn't eat a lot of bread as a family.
Corn chips.
My biggest, I think corn chips, because, here in Texas, corn chips and salsa, that's a huge thing.
Sure.
And so that's probably the grain that I let go kicking and screaming. But we were just at a Mexican food restaurant yesterday, and I have noticed what Larry has mentioned to me before. I think the chips and the pasta and the bread, it's just a vehicle for really delicious ingredients. Mm-hmm. And when you take those out, you can enjoy the ingredients in there, as fresh and without any interruptions, I guess, in the flavor. And so we use vegetables. We had, and the restaurant was very accommodating. Most are. They just serve us sliced up vegetables to eat with our salsa now. And so go back to my journey. Yeah, so I took out the grains, and I think a big part of it was having to relearn everything that I thought was correct about weight loss and health. And he still has to remind me. I will still revert back to conventional wisdom sometimes, and like strangely though, something about like less calories, or I don't know, something like that. But just through his consistent exposure and reading of the current research, and he follows all the gurus in the field, Professor Noakes, he watches your podcast all the time. So just him continuing to remind me about the science and expose me to the science is helped my understanding. And I think first it was taking away the grains. I felt better. Almost within 2 weeks, I was feeling better. I had joint pain, like sleeping, my hips hurt, and I'm not that old. And my hips would hurt, my knees would hurt in the morning. But now, or just a couple of weeks after taking out the grains, it was amazing, the difference. We'd get up, not being stiff, not aching, feeling so much better. And then, so that just continued. Like I saw those results firsthand in a couple of weeks. And then I slowly went to reducing the processed foods that I was consuming, and the processed sugar. While I wasn't a huge sweets eater, it was amazing where processed food and sugar was hidden in my diet. And so kind of moving to just trying not to eat anything out of a box or a can when I was not at home was a big part of my next part of my journey. And then so it took me about, to get to this weight loss, it took me about, 8 months, 9 months to get to where I am now. And so I feel great. I have lots more energy for my 4.5-year-old and our 55-pound dog, and much happier as well.
That's fantastic. And as you say there, it's not always an instant change. It's kind of gradual for you there, and that's what it is. I think for most people, is that it is a gradual change, and you kind of maybe change one thing a week, even one thing a month. And as long as you've got an end result in mind of kind of where you want to kind of get to in terms of removing all of kind of boxed and processed foods out of your daily diet when you're not at home, kind of just trying to almost use them as your goals, is the way forward. That's absolutely fantastic. And as you say as well, that's kind of had a knock-on effect with your whole family as well. So how has it changed the family dynamic to what it was before?
Right. Well, I mentioned in the first interview that I was quite hangry all the time. You know, the combination of hungry and angry, and I actually see that word being used, you know, much more frequently in social media and stuff. I think people are realizing how much food and what they have on a daily basis is impacting their mental health and their mental well-being. So I would have a big carb lunch, as I mentioned last time, have a carb snack at 2 because I could only make it for a couple hours, and then come home really hungry all the time. So now that doesn't happen. I'm a much more engaged dad. It's awesome. And our daughter, one of the things I like to say is raising a child on real food is hard. Raising a child not on real food is infinitely harder.
I know the truth.
When we go out to you know, public places and stuff, I mean, sure, she's growing. She has a ton of energy, like our puppy. So sometimes, you know, we like her to express that energy, and she's by no means, you know, an angel, and that's good. I don't want her to be an angel, but she doesn't have the meltdowns that I see other kids do, and she is so adventuresome with her food. I mean, she loves kale and Brussels sprouts, 85% dark chocolate. She'll ask me if there's any chocolate, is it healthy chocolate? Sometimes when we're out and about in restaurants, she'll actually see other people eating bread and say, we don't eat bread, it's not healthy. And, you know.
Amazing.
And that's, you know, it is what it is.
She can do quite the commentary on other people's eating habits. And most of the time, it's a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt.
But she actually, so for snacks now, she will ask, like just last night, she wanted a bedtime snack. And I asked her, well, what do you want? She goes, well, I think I want hearts of palm. Like, you know, so for a 4.5-year-old to ask for hearts of palm as a snack.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and
loves seaweed.
Yeah. Oh gosh, seaweed is her like, she pretty much has to have it every day. And she calls it her sandwich, her seaweed sandwich. So she gets all the little seaweed pieces, puts them together, smashes them, and she goes, "This is my seaweed sandwich." So it's, you know, and in addition to the fact of, you know, my husband being on a much better plane mentally, and I am as well. It's amazing how my energy is up, but also it's so much easier to be patient. I can't stress the mental benefits enough. That I'm also a second grade teacher, and so the benefits I've seen in the classroom are amazing because the amount of energy you need every day to be there mentally for them and to do your job in the best way possible is incredible. And so I couldn't imagine doing this like not on low carb. I was actually in another position in the education field, and then this year I went back into the classroom. And so it was really fortuitous that I had already changed my diet, you know, when I went back into the classroom, because I can't imagine doing this on the conventional diet, because I would have just been tired and really just run down all the time and not been my best as an educator.
That's fantastic, because I mean, it's amazing how much of an impact that this sort of lifestyle change has in all walks of life, from, you know, being more engaged with your daughter in your place of work, and also I assume maybe with each other. Does it kind of expand what you're kind of able to do, or kind of how does that work in terms of your relationship together as well?
Yeah, you know, it's much better. I say I'm now the husband and the dad that I want to be. And one of the things I've noticed is that in the past, almost on a daily basis, I had to say, I'm sorry. Now saying I'm sorry is a good thing, but that meant that I realized, you know, in the moment I hadn't acted appropriately. I had snapped inappropriately, or
sure, we all do.
Yeah, hadn't been patient, and I was always very good at recognizing that after the fact, but not having to say I'm sorry in the first place is obviously the goal. And I know I say I'm not I don't have to say that as frequently. And yeah, we want to do more. You know, I don't know how well we'd be doing with our now close to 60-pound puppy, and she's 7 months, so she's going to get a little bigger. You know, how much we would have been able to run with her and take her to parks. When I go to dog parks, if there aren't other dogs, I'll be her, you know, buddy, and I'll run with her. And in terms of wanting to do things after work or on the weekends, or it's hard for us to stay home now. You know, we just want to get up and do things. And yeah, and you know, every aspect of married life has gotten better. And you know, one of the things that I said in the Mark Sisson article, and that why I'm so passionate about this, is I really feel for the first time in my life that I'm who I am. It's amazing that, so this isn't diet, it's a way of life. Mm-hmm. And once you get the inflammation down and your hormones regulated and you're getting nutrient-dense food, not only do you blossom health-wise, but your personality comes out. You get to be the person that you were meant to be. And I think about our ancestors and all the things that they had to overcome. Everyone alive today, if you were to make a movie of how they got to be alive, it would probably be more astounding than any blockbuster that was. You know, we had relatives that survived famine and wars and poverty and amazing things. And I think it's a tribute to them, and really a tribute to the whole earth and all the other species, if you're actually being the person you were designed to be. And if we can do that collectively, you know, and I think that's what I'm so excited about, this kind of bottom-up revolution, with a lot of help from experts like you and Professor Noakes and Rob Wolf and Mark Sisson, and doctors like Dr. Terry Walls and Troy Stapleton, all these people kind of working together. Eric Westman, I could go, Asim Malhotra, who hopefully I'll meet Sunday. You know, so it's kind of people and these experts that care a lot and that are dedicating their now working lives to bringing out the best evolutionarily informed nutrition. You know, saying there's also N=1. Some people can handle more carbs, but no one does really well on grains. So that whole thing, it not only is a health revolution, but it can help people really experience themselves the way that they had the potential when they were born. And that's incredibly exciting to be a part of the experience.
It's absolutely wonderful to hear that, Larry. And it's amazing how much passion and enthusiasm you have for this way of life, as you said there, and so much so that you've really got involved in the community, volunteering at Primal Con. For those that don't know, that's obviously a conference on the primal lifestyle, and also at Paleo FX, I believe. And then also you've become qualified as a primal expert as well through Mark's primal certification.
Yeah. So I was not a volunteer at PrimalCon. I was an attendee, which was good because that allowed me to fully experience all the sessions. Daryl Edwards was there. Then he came to Austin about a week later, and my daughter and wife got to meet him. And we met him again at Paleo FX, where I was the volunteer. And getting to meet Mark and Brad Kearns that he works with, and his wife, Carrie, and just all these other primal enthusiasts. And for people out there, primal is basically paleo, but if high quality dairy is something that you do well with, then that's accepted. Acknowledges that if you have good quality meat, that no fear of saturated fat, as long as it's natural, high quality saturated fat. So just a few small differences, but it's basically paleo. And there were these wonderful movement sessions. Katie Bowman, who you had on, who I told you about, she was there and gave a presentation. Adam and Vanessa Lambert, not the Adam Lambert people are thinking of, but he's a firefighter who's incredibly into fitness. You know, and there's somebody named Chris Adams, another firefighter. And so Primal Con was incredible. Paleo FX is just this amazing celebration of people regaining their health. The most amazing vendors you could spend. The presentations are unbelievable, but the vendors are so good. You could literally spend like the whole weekend just going to the vendors and finding out about these products, and there are you know, healthcare products that don't have any negative ingredients, and something Epic Bar, which is an Austin-based company, they now do a liver bar, so I can get my grass-fed liver, you know, and it tastes good, you know. So PaleoFX is a real treasure of kind of the community, and it's grown organically. The people that run it, and you were interviewed by them, or you interviewed them, Keith and Michelle Norris. You know, they're wonderful, dedicated folks, and it's changed their lives. And so people get enthusiastic because it's so profoundly beneficial, you know, and it's completely based on science. And unlike the 40-year low fat phase of humanity, which was based on no science, but a lot of commercialism. So yeah, I get a little annoyed if there's any professional in the field. I don't blame people, because their whole life they've told low fat is healthy. But any nutritionist or doctor, you guys should know better. And you know, so those are the ones I get annoyed. Yeah, I get annoyed by. And they just have to use common sense. Ever since low fat came out, people's health got worse, and it's not because they're not following it, it's because they are following it. So stop blaming the victims, your patients, and, you know, start educating yourselves like me and Kay Lynne did, and I don't think they can come to any other conclusion.
Absolutely. And how was the primal certification that you did as well? Yeah,
that was, it's such a nice offer. And so what it is Mark and his team spent a lot of time putting together this very detailed course that has about 14 modules, and each module goes over a key aspect of the science. And then I think there's about 8 or 9 science modules, and then there's 5 or 6 how to implement this for yourself, your clients, your friends, your family, the key ways to implement this for optimal health. So it's gathering all this information in really a highlight information. Each of the modules has an introductory video by Mark. It has action items for yourself and your clients. I would highly suggest it for, I've heard people, and then there's a Facebook group, and so a lot of people that do it are trainers or doctors or so forth, and a lot of them mention that they have multiple certifications, and this was the first one that was of any use to them. So I think that's, you know, that's high praise. And I did it more as an individual and just wanting to know more and maybe opening up doors in the future. I did speak at my work, and it was very well attended. I did a lunchtime talk. Over 80 people were there. And then I did a talk at a natural grocery store called Natural Grocers, and they've invited me back. So that's really, I feel more as somebody who's qualified to do that, having gone through the certification. So I recommend it for any trainer or anyone who wants to know more for their family.
That's fantastic, and folks can check that out on Mark's website. If they go to smashthefat.com/primal, then they can go check it out there. But for you guys overall, what advice would you give to families out there that are finding trouble with their health, and how can they take the first step to changing their lifestyle?
Well, I think it was mentioned earlier, is just to take it slow. The information out there can be overwhelming, and so don't feel like you have to be perfect right away. I think, you know, Larry shared with me, and I think it was something possibly Mark Sisson shared with him, like, don't let the enemy, or don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So, you know, he suggested try to do this 80% of the time. And, you know, and try to be good and make good food choices 80% of the time. And then, you know, when you do make those poor food choices, don't beat yourself up for it, and just try to get back as soon as you can. And then I noticed that once I did that, then my body told me that those were better food choices. And so it was easier to make good food choices, because my body was saying it's okay, you know, you feel better when you make those choices. So I guess start small, and realize there's so much support out there. there's blogs, there's people on Facebook. For me and our family, trying to raise a 4-year-old who's the movie got a little long or a little boring there. Trying to raise a 4-year-old, going to birthday parties, and trying to bring snacks to our school and educate them. So the people out there like the Paleo Mom or a Nom Nom Paleo or Diane Sanfilippo, they all have great ways to kind of switch your family over to a paleo/primal lifestyle. And the whole family's getting in here. So know that there's resources out there for you. And just the internet's a wonderful thing to help you with any questions you might have.
She's practicing her smash the fat.
Smash it out. That's right. That's it.
And I would only add to that I always try and tell people that there might be a transition period. There's likely to be a transition period. So I think so many people go lower carb and they don't feel good the first week or two. Can you go in your sorry. And so then they're like, oh, I need a lot of carbs. I don't feel better. And I like to explain it. Some cars can run on vegetable oil. But you have to do this background. You have to transition them. If you put vegetable oil in a regular car, it'll break the car. So the transition period is your body kind of gearing up to be able to use fat efficiently. So don't mistake possibly feeling worse the first week or two. You've been eating high carb probably for decades. Your body's going to take a little bit of time. And I hear this over and over again. By the end of the month, I felt better than I ever have in my life. So don't mistake the transition period as that this isn't for you. You have to give it a good 30 days. And I like to say, some people, I took it slow. I didn't do all the changes at once. Some people find it better. They can jump in and be successful. So that's up to, that's part of the N=1. Do the style that works best for you.
That's fantastic advice, Larry, and Kay Lynne as well. Thank you so much for your time today, sharing your family and just your amazing story. And if people kind of want to keep up to date with everything that you're doing, Larry, they can follow you on Twitter at NatureBoyRR. Is that correct?
Correct.
Spot on. And on that note, what do you have kind of planned for the future? Because I know that you want to get more into kind of helping more people.
Yeah, I'm eventually going to start a website. I'm looking at the various hosting services, and I have ideas, and I love to write. I got a lot of wonderful comments on my Mark Sisson article, and I enjoy writing. So I think not podcasting, but for me personally, blogging would be the way I want to go. And I eventually want to write a book. And I heard great advice about this. Everyone's an individual. No one would write the same exact book that I would. So what I can control is writing the best book possible, putting that out into the world. And then the world will tell me if people find it valuable or not. So I definitely want to do that sometime in the upcoming year. And I'm excited about that. And hopefully on Twitter, when I do get my website up, you can broadcast that out to your followers. But I want to do that over the summer. So.
Fantastic. And then what about you, Kay Lynne? Just keep on trucking with what you're doing?
Correct. I think continue to get stronger. I think I've pretty much got the eating down. And so I think the next point is strength building, becoming stronger, and trying to just get the most out of the energy I do have right now. And also trying to find ways to bring that into my classroom as far as educationally, and start to educate the parents and my students about eating well. It's really difficult with the current system and nutritional guidelines set out, what we feed our kids in school. And so I would love to try to bring that to the general public in some way. Through, yeah, you can go.
Wonderful. Well, that's fantastic, Kay Lynne. And there's only one more thing left to do, and that's to hear us smash it out from the Diamond family. So on the count of 3, I want to shout, smash it out to the camera.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3.
Smash it out!
That's what I'm talking about. Fantastic. Thank you again so much for your time today, guys. Everybody listening, watching, or whatever you're doing, go follow Larry on Twitter at NatureBoyRR. And you can keep up to date with everything that he's doing there. When he finally gets around to writing his book, getting a blog up, that would be fantastic. And again, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, and congrats on the engagement.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot.
Have a good day.
Absolutely. You have a good day now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.